I never imagined that HOA Karen calling the cops on my daughter would escalate into one of the most humiliating, chaotic, and legally intense confrontations of her life. But it all began on a sunny afternoon when my daughter was playing in our yard, entirely within the bounds of our private property, and Karen appeared suddenly at the edge of the lawn, visibly agitated, waving her phone, and insisting that she had observed suspicious activity that required immediate police attention. And, before I could fully process what was happening, she was already on the line with 911, exaggerating her claims, stating that a minor was trespassing and possibly engaging in inappropriate behavior, and I immediately grabbed my phone to record the situation while stepping outside to protect my daughter and ensure that every detail of the interaction was documented, knowing that false accusations against a minor could have serious legal and emotional repercussions. And as Karen continued, narrating her fabricated story to the dispatcher, embellishing the threat to community safety, I calmly approached her and explained, in a clear and assertive voice, that my daughter was fully within her legal rights to be on our property, that this was private property, and that her claims were entirely false, malicious, and potentially criminal in nature. And Karen, instead of de-escalating, grew increasingly frantic, pacing back and forth, muttering about HOA rules, and insisting that she had the authority to enforce safety standards over the children in the neighborhood, ignoring the fact that she had absolutely no legal jurisdiction over minors on private property. And I continued filming, narrating her every word and action for the record, while neighbors, drawn by the commotion, began emerging from their homes to observe the situation, capturing their own video footage and shaking their heads in disbelief at the audacity and recklessness of her behavior. And within minutes, local law enforcement arrived in response to her call, assessing the scene and immediately noticing that Karen's claims were inconsistent with reality. As my daughter stood calmly in the yard, happily playing with her toys, completely safe, and within the clear property boundaries, and the officers asked Karen to present evidence or legal documentation supporting her accusations, which she could not, and after reviewing my property deeds, historical surveys, previous HOA correspondence, security camera footage, and statements from witnesses, the deputies concluded that Karen had no legal authority to interfere in this matter, and that her actions constituted harassment, filing a false report, and creating a potentially criminal situation, particularly given that the subject of her complaint was a minor, and they sternly warned her that any further interference with my daughter or our property would result in immediate arrest, potential charges, and possible escalation to civil or federal consequences, leaving her visibly flustered, muttering weak excuses, and clearly realizing that her overreach had been fully documented and legally countered. And I calmly narrated every moment to my camera, ensuring a comprehensive record of the encounter, while neighbors continued to film, providing additional corroboration of her repeated pattern of intimidation and harassment, which included prior attempts to enter our property without permission, make false claims, and interfere with residents' personal activities, all of which I had meticulously documented over months with video, photographs, and written records, creating an irrefutable case against her. And later, I compiled the entire timeline, footage, witness affidavits, property documentation, and a detailed written report and submitted it to the HOA board, the county authorities, and legal counsel, which led to her immediate removal from any committee or enforcement role, a formal reprimand, and a permanent restriction preventing her from interacting with children or entering residents' properties without explicit permission. And the story quickly spread through the community, with neighbors sharing videos and confirming the incident, reinforcing the lesson that HOA authority has strict limits, that false reporting is illegal, and that residents' rights, particularly the rights and safety of minors, are fully protected, leaving my daughter and me fully vindicated, our property secure, and HOA Karen's credibility and influence completely destroyed in the eyes of both the community and the law, while demonstrating that preparation, calm assertiveness, legal knowledge, and meticulous documentation are the most powerful tools when facing someone intent on abusing perceived authority and harassing residents.